This project consists of 3 members, Skyliana, Maryam, and me, Omar, and our project client was the ASU Dean of Students Office. So to begin, the problem of student homelessness is a sustainability one, as it touches individuals through social, economic, and environmental dimensions. Socially, effects are felt through the social stigmas and abuses that these students face throughout their experiences, as well as the facing policies such as community segregation that only exacerbate the problem. Environmentally, people such as this have troubles through extreme heat and also find themselves living in unstable living environments that could create even more problems throughout their experience. Economically, the students find themselves in immensely difficult financial situations, and trying to combat this only makes the problem worse for them at times. When the only opportunity for them to support themselves is that through that of a loan through school, the problem only increases. Also, the lack of public assistance is more present and greater, especially as they're college students. With all this in mind, we divided our project into 3 key areas: food, health, and housing. While working on this through research and speaking through subject matter experts, we compiled all our information together and thus combined it to form the deliverables that we created. Lastly, university students are becoming homeless at an alarming rate. According to the Wisconsin Hope Lab, 52% of the students attending 4 universities find themselves in basic needs insecurity that has them having troubles accessing food, housing, and healthcare. To bring it back to ASU context, ASU has a total of 119,000 students. And when considering the 52,000, 52%, this would equal to about 61,880 students at ASU at risk or already experience some sort of insecurity. So to define student homelessness, we consider that homelessness is stereotyped. For most people, the definition is simply someone who is sleeping on the sidewalk, doesn't have a home, unshaven, and perhaps intoxicated, or acting irrationally. Now, considering the person next to you, your students or classmates, that person could possibly be someone who is also experiencing homelessness. These students are home insecure rather than homeless and are often housed in unstable and unsafe living conditions and are not conducive to the physical and mental health. During our project, we use home insecure, including needs, insecurities, and risks, and homelessness interchangeably. The scope of our project and homelessness is based off of the needs of insecurity to access to shelter, food, and healthcare.
So in our project, we identified 4 key intervention points that our project really sought to address. The first one is the stigmas and stereotypes of homelessness by either the community or the individuals themselves. We noticed that stigmas and stereotypes often discourage individuals for asking for help and also communities discussing the overall problem. The second intervention point that we addressed is the accessibility of resources available to students on ASU's campus. We then noticed that there was a gap in communication as departments were not talking to each other or sharing information, so as the silo effect. And then the last intervention point that we saw was there was a huge gap in faculty and staff awareness on the issue. So oftentimes faculty and staff, when they don't know what to do, they can often make the situation worse and greatly decrease the probability of a student accessing the resources they need. So we worked with the collective impact framework, which has shown proven success for wide systemic changes in dealing with multiple organizations, such as our project really required us to do. So the collective impact framework works through 3 phases: initiation of action, organizing for impact, and sustaining action and impact. So these 3 phases facilitate the collaboration for organizations to support the 5 goals or objectives in the middle: common agenda, shared measurement, reinforcing activities, communication, and backbone support. Oops, oh goodness, sorry guys, there we go. Oh, no, okay, never mind. So our project had 4 deliverables, which we address in our proposal, Sun Devils Together, which we gave to the Dean of Students office. So our first deliverable really was developed in our proposal stage of our project, where we conducted case study, literature reviews, and we just collected a lot of research on student homelessness. we put all of our research and case studies into an executive summary, and we sent those to the Dean of Students office. And that really helped us garner support for our project, but it also really helped us support the Dean of Students in helping increase awareness on student homelessness and creating different strategies to address the problem. We then had a lot of issues in that phase. We had a lot of issues actually finding where students on campus would actually go to get help and the resources they need. And so we wondered actually what would a student do and what do students do when they need help on campus. So we set out on an experiment to kind of shadow a student's path to get resources. So we went to each department on campus and would ask their procedures on what they would do if a student came to them asking for either food, housing, or shelter. We were often then redirected to other departments or offices, and then we would go to those departments and then we were redirected again. So we saw there was a huge gap in the communication between departments. So our second deliverable, we focused on connecting departments through creating a communication gaps matrix, in which we took the information from all the head department individuals that we were talking to, asked them who they were talking to and how, and we filled in the communication gap matrix, which highlighted those kind of interconnections. And then we connected those individuals to other departments that we felt they should be talking to through our research. And this stage brought us to departments and schools and faculty and staff asking us for things like information pamphlets so they can better help students, more presentations on the subject, and specifically trainings in order for the tools that they need to help identify and help students get the support that they need. So this brought us to our third deliverable, which was the homeless student training. We developed it for the Dean of Students, but specifically the Academic Success Center had asked us for like, hey, can you come in and give a training to our staff? So we developed the training with the Academic Success Center in mind, but this is really, it can be applied to all departments and staff on ASU's campus. And the Dean of Students said they will implement a training and kind of try to incorporate our training into a training that will be going out in the fall. Our training has two parts to it, really. It was a information about the tools to address and identify students in need and at-risk students. And then a game which we developed, a role-playing game, which puts the staff in the shoes of a student looking for resources they need. So that part really tries to help the staff empathize with students so they kind of understand what they're going through. And then the next part would be putting them in their own roles in the game, where they have to follow through the tools which we incorporated in the training, apply them, and aid the student. So those, and that game really, we weren't able to pilot it due to COVID-19, but we recorded a demo of us going through the project and gave that to our client. And then the last deliverable was really cool to see. In the beginning of our proposal, we recommended that the Dean of Students have an online platform, which we have seen in a lot of our case studies, successful case studies on other universities helping students through their resources. And we saw that they all had this online platform where all the resources are listed, and there's even places for students to send in requests so then they get specific help right away. So it was really cool. We just got this back from the Dean of Students, actually, that they have already been, based on our recommendations, developing an online platform to kind of address, you know, the big question of where do we go if we need help. It's clearly, like it's very clear for a student to go on this online platform now and find and contact the people they need to contact.
So now I'll be transitioning into our results and major takeaways of the project. The first result we've seen is from our project is that we provided a space for discussion through the individualized meetings we had with various departments on and around campus, which helped answer any questions that they had regarding the different procedures on what to do when they meet an at-risk student. We also started the discussion about gathering data on the students. Before this, ASU didn't really have surveys that were gearing to collect data on homeless students. So after talking to various departments like off-campus housing and health services, they are integrating questions that specifically ask where a student is living without directly asking them if they're homeless, since they don't respond well to that, which helped these departments identify the students who need help and indirectly send them the resources that they need through email and other various services. Secondly, we were able to fill in the gaps in terms of spreading the knowledge on what resources exist and increase the communication between what each department is doing to help solve the problem. Before we started this project, nobody really knew that student homelessness was an issue, and they didn't know what to do if they encountered an at-risk student. So it was a pretty big win for us to be able to start up the conversation and increase the overall awareness of the issue, which we hope the Dean of Students will continue after we graduate. We have also managed to increase the availability of resource information by developing information pamphlets and helping contribute information to the new website that you saw earlier. We also took away some valuable information and skill sets from this project, which is knowing how to conduct effective stakeholder engagement skills with the experience that we had with the various stakeholders in our project. And we also learned our project management skills, which we hope to apply in the future. Now transitioning into the evaluation portion of our presentation. To measure the success of our project, we've decided to use two methods. The first one is Max Needs and Satisfiers Framework, and the second one is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. For Max Needs Matrix, we've taken the 9 needs identified by Max Needs, as you can see on the slides, and each need is rated from a scale from 1 to 4. The ratings were given based on the impact that the project had from an at-risk student perspective. A rating of 4 will be given if we meet all 4 criteria, which consists of being, hearing, doing, and interacting. And they have examples of what will fall under that. If we only meet 1 criteria, then we'll only get a score of 1, and so forth. So overall, the project scored a total of 29 points out of 36 points, which is not bad. But we recognize that the team could have improved this evaluation if we had an outside person analyzing it, but we were unable to do so due to COVID-19 barriers and our limited time restrictions. Now moving on to our second method of evaluation, which is utilizing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals through the SDG Impact Assessment tool. So within this tool, we were required to analyze all the sustainable development goals that were impacted by our project from 5 categories. First one is direct positive, indirect positive is the second one, third, no impact, fourth, indirect negative, and fifth is the direct negative. And then through this assessment, we also had to justify our reasons on why we believe our project impacted the respective goals in those certain ways. And overall, the project managed to positively influence 13 out of the 17 SDG goals, while the remaining 4 goals were not impacted as it was beyond the project boundary and it wasn't really our focus. And there were no goals that were negatively impacted by our project. Now I'll pass it on to Omar to do the recommendations and next steps.
Yeah, so the following recommendations we have here consist of, firstly, the continuation of the efforts for the online, accessible online platform that, could create the information and direct students to the respective resources. Including this is like the collaboration with different departments that continues these efforts, and just diversify this through schools and departments in general, which working together towards helping homeless and at-risk students. The implement an active and educational training program that has already been beginning, and which is across departments and schools, in addition to sharing referenceable resources and procedure information. And then just the surveying of students with the population of which is more likely to experience these needs of insecurity, just getting more data and really obtaining more information on that. And then just the collaboration with the Housing and Finance Department to create a university sanctioned emergency housing program, located on or near the Tempe campus, which is something we'd very much like to see. And just overall, just continued efforts go into the future, which possibly could involve this project continuing it on and continuing these efforts in the form of new sessions that could include things that we possibly did not possibly consider. And yeah, these are just the main recommendations we have for them. And yeah, thank you to everyone who made this possible and, just really helped us get the opportunities to obtain, the information we needed and overall just the incredible efforts that we were able to make.